Strength Warehouse presents Go Heavy or Go Home podcast. I am your host, Nate Boley. In this podcast, we talk about strength, fitness, nutrition, and all things Strength Warehouse related. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. This is season 2, episode 2. We are talking about motivation versus consistency. All right. So I hear this day in and day out. I've been a gym owner now for 6 years, and I did it in our garage for 3 years previous to that, which was a completely different experience. But what I understand is I see people all the time. They come into our gym, they go through our no sweat intro process, and they tell me that they don't have any motivation. And I go, okay, well, let's not focus on the motivation. Let's focus on some consistency. So most people tell me they are doing XYZ because they can't do XYZ because they aren't motivated. But they're really focused on the wrong place. They really need to focus on just making a consistent plan, right? So creating the plan and executing on the plan. So motivation comes and goes, and consistency is a mindset and an actual thing that you can physically control, right? So the most successful people that I know aren't always motivated. What I find is they're always consistent. So it doesn't matter if they wake up in the morning, they didn't sleep very well, maybe work got in the way, whatever it was, they're not always motivated. They're consistent. And they say, hey, I said today I was going to do something, and I'm going to do it, right? So just for an example, this podcast, I was supposed to record this podcast about 5 hours ago, and just everything got in the way. The phone was ringing. A couple of our staff members needed me. There's some clients that were asking me questions. And I to be honest, the other day was my birthday. I might have went out and had too many whiskeys. I just wasn't feeling it. I needed to take a nap. I wasn't super consistent. So I wanted to do it at 12 o'clock. And I was like, you know what? It just is not going to work. So I did my thing. I went and got some dinner, or some lunch, and I went and had a small nap. And I came back because I knew I needed to do this podcast today to make it work. I came back and I recorded the podcast, and here it is. That is being consistent, right? Everything is stacked against you, but you still make it happen. So the people who wait and think and hope for motivation, if this is you, you are going to sit on the sidelines for a long time, and potentially a whole lifetime away. And I know a few people, I'm not going to mention their names, they're in my family, but this is their MO. They always are waiting for something to be ideal. They're waiting for motivation. They're waiting for this. They're waiting for that. And I'm like, just make it happen. Do it. It doesn't matter if it's ideal. It doesn't matter if it's in the right time frame. It doesn't matter if the finances are correct. It doesn't matter if your schedule is correct. You just make it happen. You have the goal, you're going to make it happen, right? So motivation, it comes and goes. But consistency is a character trait that you can develop and build upon, right? Motivation is not a character trait. Motivation is a feeling that you get, right? So you cannot build upon and develop a feeling that you get. It's just a feeling that comes and goes. But a character trait you can absolutely 100% build upon, and you can make it better each week. So maybe it looks like this. Hey, I haven't been to the gym in 2 years. Okay, no problem. How do we do this? And so I'm going to backtrack a little bit. People will come in and be like, I want to go gangbusters. I want to do 5 days a week. And I look at their no sweat intro. I'm like, okay, well, you told me you haven't worked out in 3+ years. Okay, what makes you think that you're going to go from 0 to 100 miles an hour without any complications? It's not going to happen, right? So in our no sweat intro, we try to build a plan that works best for you. And I always tell people, hey, don't bite off too much at one time. Let's start with 2 days a week. Let's start with 3 days a week. Let's start with 4 days a week. And then we can build upon that. And sometimes it's even 1 day a week. If it's personal training, we can do 1 day a week, right? So, and then you can build upon that. Okay, I'm going to do that for a month, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months, or whatever. And then I'm gonna once I've established consistency and I know that my subconscious is telling me I can trust myself now, Now I can move on to more times per week, right? So again, consistency is something that you can develop and you can build over time. It's not going to be easy, but you cannot develop and build motivation. It's just not something that's happening. It doesn't happen, right? You cannot have motivation every single day. So some days you wake up motivated, some days you don't. And that's where consistency comes in. So if you have a goal, whatever it is, you have to stay consistent on it. Because if you decide, hey, I'm only going to do this goal when I'm motivated, guess what? You're probably going to lose that goal. You can't always tell if you're going to be motivated all the time. Sometimes you wake up, you didn't sleep good. Maybe your 3-year-old didn't sleep and you were up in the middle of the night and you got to get up early in the morning because you usually work out in the morning or whatever it is. Maybe you had too many drinks with your friends the night before. If you say, I'm going to work out tomorrow, you do it. I don't care if you're hungover, your kids stayed up all night long. It doesn't matter. Like, you just get it done, right? So, but when you focus on consistency, you will win. You will get to your goal. But if you focus on motivation, you're going to lose. There's a big chance you're going to lose. When I see people come into the gym and they are highly motivated, but I look at their consistency over the next 30, 60, 90 days, and I say, hey, you have not been consistent, but your motivation is very high. And I see people that come into the gym that their motivation is very low, but their consistency is very high. 100% of the time, I'm going to repeat it again, 100% of the time, the person that's consistent versus the person that's motivated wins. So think about that. Take a deep dive. Pause the podcast right now and ask yourself, are you motivated or are you consistent? Hey guys, real quick, if you find value in these 20 to 40 minute podcasts, imagine what I can do for you if I had an in-depth look into you, your life, and your goals. When you hire a coach, you are paying for speed and clarity. So what would it look like if you could just get back to your life knowing that your strength, health, and fitness goals are being taken care of and overlooked? Your life would probably be light years ahead of where it is today. Anyway, if you're sick and tired of just spinning the hamster wheel, come see us today, and we'd love to chat with you. Anyway, guys, back to the podcast. All right, so let's just say, and this is a typical thing, I hear it all the time. I've been a gym owner now, like I said, for 9 years. I've trained thousands of people. I've talked to thousands of people. So let's just say a hypothetical, scenario. You have a strength goal, and you're on a strength journey. Motivation will say, I'll hit the gym when I have motivation. I'm going to hit a PR when I have motivation. When all things are ideal and your class times are ideal, I'll come to the gym. If they're not ideal, I'm not. I'm going to go somewhere else where there's, maybe, we're the only strength gym in Bend. I'm just going to say it out there. There is no other strength-oriented gym in Bend. They're all cardiovascular and they're all functional. There is no true strength training gym in Bend except for Strength Warehouse. I know every single gym here in Bend. And there's just nobody that's really acclimated to that because it's a scary thing, and that's okay. I understand that. We're here to help you. We're here to guide you in your journey. But if you have a true strength, health, and fitness goal, we can curtail to that. And we do that with thousands of clients each day. Not each day, but each month, I should say. Each month we help thousands of clients through this stuff. But when you tell yourself, I'm only going to go to the gym when I'm motivated and things are ideal, it's not going to work out very, very good for you. So you're going to go, I'll drink some coffee. I'm going to drink a pre-workout. And I'm going to get to the gym if the classes are available and the time that I want to go, or the weather is perfect, or traffic is good, or I slept a good night. The result of that is going to be very medial, right? Or you can say, I'm going to be consistent because I told myself I'm going to do this today. Consistency says, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do, and I'm going to make it happen no matter what, right? And don't get me wrong, there's things that happen and you can't make it to the gym. If the weather is so crazy, there's been crazy ice storms here in Central Oregon, and I get it. Like, if you didn't get snow tires early on, it's going to be difficult for you, but every single member that we have in our gym has access to our Chalk It Pro app, and they have their workouts on the app. They can literally hit the app, and it doesn't matter if the program says heavy squats for the day. If you can't make it, just do squats at your house. Now grab a paint can, grab a gallon of milk, that's 9 pounds, grab a baby. I mean, some babies, my 3-year-old's 45 pounds, right? I put her on my back, I do some body squats, I'm going to be sore the next day, right? Doesn't matter what it is. Maybe it's bench press, do some push-ups, right? Maybe it's, deadlifting. Go outside, go to your garage, find something heavy and start deadlifting it. I don't care what it is. You're going to be consistent. You have a strength goal, you have a weight loss goal, you have a health goal. If you're going to get to these things, you have to make it non-negotiable. You are going to make it happen no matter what. So just for an example, I went to Texas a couple weeks ago, and I had all intentions on going to the ultimate, infamous Metroflex gym in Dallas, Texas. I was so stoked to go work out at a place that Ronnie Coleman worked out at. Some of the highest level powerlifters in the world have worked out in. I got out of my business meeting at about 3 o'clock, and I started to get an Uber to go down there. I realized that rush hour in Dallas is no joke, and it was going to take me 1.5 hours each way to get there, plus an hour and a half of work. So I'm looking at 4.5 hour trip to get down to this gym. And I'm like, that is just not sustainable for me. I've got dinner, I've got all these things that I've already planned. And so I looked up, I went to the counter at the hotel, and I said, hey, you guys got a gym? They're like, yeah, 2nd floor. I went up there, it was garbage. There was all treadmills, very few weights, nothing, like barely anything at all. I found a 45-pound dumbbell, and I got a significantly good workout. Now, it wasn't deadlifting 600 pounds like I was supposed to do. It wasn't bench pressing 300 pounds, which I was supposed to do. It wasn't squatting XYZ, which I was supposed to do, but I got something in. I told my coach, I was like, hey, this is the deal. This is what happened. I got something in. He's like, great. No big deal. We're on it. We're just going to continue on with what we have, right? So you just have to continue with what you're doing no matter what happens, right? We've all had the day where sleep didn't go well, right? Maybe you got a kiddo at the home like I do that doesn't sleep well, and she ends up in your bed sideways, kicking you in the face, and you didn't sleep all night. Or maybe something is worrying you and you just didn't sleep all night. No big deal. Kids, my daughter the other day, she thought that, there was going to be a snow day, so she woke up late and she missed the bus, and I had to drive her to school late. Or you go to work and your work, at the end of the day, you're like, hey, I'm out of here at 3:30. I've got a 4 o'clock gym appointment, but your boss put something on you at the very end, which makes you, late to the gym or whatever, and then you're like, hey, so you don't go to the gym, right? And then you're like, okay, crap, I got to pick up the kids. I got to put them to put dinner in their on the plate on the table. And I got to put them in bed. This day is wasted. No, it's not. Figure out open up the Chalk It Pro app, whatever you're doing for that day, do as best you can. Push-ups, squats, pick something, whatever it is. Pick up your kids' toys and start deadlifting it. I don't care, whatever it is. Pick up a rock outside, a piece of snow. I don't care what it is. Just do something, right? Or hey, weather's a big deal. We've had a lot of ice in the area this last couple weeks. Do something, right? Consistency says I'll do this no matter what, and motivation says I'll do this if I have the right scenario. So don't be the one that says, hey, I'm gonna be a fair weather fan. I'm only gonna do this when it's easy and accessible for me. Stick to a plan, be consistent. We help you with that, but we can only lead you to the water. We can only lead you to the weights. You have to make it to the gym, and you have to lift the weights. So that's just one of the biggest things, right? Consistency is, I said I was going to do something, and I'm going to get it done, period. Motivation says I'm only going to get this done if everything is the stars align, right? The moon, the stars, and the earth align. So don't be one of those people. Be somebody that says, hey, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get it done no matter what, right? So once you've created a pattern of consistency, your subconscious starts to trust you more, right? So you have a subconscious and a conscious mind. So your conscious mind is what you're when you're awake and you're making decisions. But your subconscious is always watching your conscious mind. And if you are lying to yourself and you're saying, I'm going to do something, but you don't do it, your subconscious is going to be back there in the background being like, hey, guess what? It doesn't matter. You may lie to yourself every now and again. It's okay. We don't need to do this right now. But if you tell yourself, hey, I'm going to do this. I will start this. I'm going to do this. Your subconscious is going to trust you more. And it's a compounding effect, right? So when you know, this is where like addicts really have a problem because they say, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. But then they go and do it anyway. And their subconscious doesn't believe them anymore. And they just end up doing the same habits over and over and over again. So humans are creatures of habits, whether it's bad or good. So you can create bad habits, you can create good habits. And your subconscious is going to follow that, right? So it drives me so crazy to see how many people will show up day in and day out. And they tell me, they come in here and says, I will do anything for anybody else, but I will not do anything for myself. And I said, oh my gosh, you know what? I made a blog post a long time ago, which was a spin-off of somebody else's blog post that I read. The airline industry got it correct, right? When the plane's depressurizing or having an emergency, they release the oxygen masks. And what's the first thing they tell you? Do not put somebody else's mask on. Do not assist somebody else without assisting yourself first. This is 110,000% correct. If you are not taking care of yourself and you are not loving yourself and you're not feeding yourself and you're not doing good things for yourself, there is no way you can take care of somebody else in a sustainably long fashion. So if you find yourself being like, hey, I'm going to give all of my good being to somebody else, I understand. I've got a heart of gold too. I've got my mother's heart. We are a people pleaser. We want to make sure everybody else is taken care of before us. It is not the way to be. And every single person that you're taking care of wishes that you would take care of yourself first, because you would take care of them 100,000 times better if you took care of yourself first and not them. If you're always thinking about everybody else first, you're never thinking about yourself, and your care to them is subpar. I know that might be a hard pill to swallow, but you cannot take care of other people as well if you didn't take care of yourself first, all right? So I want you to just think about this. You need to make time for yourself, period, right? And it's okay to be a little bit selfish once, 3 times a week, 4 times a week for an hour, hour and a half, and just take some time for yourself to be better, right? So I want you to tell yourself this 3 times during this podcast. I will take care of myself. I will get this done. I will take care of myself. I will get this done. I will take care of myself, and I will get this done. Something super important to realize is that if you embark on a new fitness journey, your life's going to change, right? You cannot expect different results and do the exact same thing. So when you say yes to a new strength, health, and fitness program, you're going to have to say no to something else. Whether that's like what do they call it? A happy hour. Going to hang out with your friends, staying longer at work. All sorts, scrolling on Facebook, Instagram. Netflix, whatever it is you're spending lots of time on. And I know all these phones and apps and stuff like that will tell you, hey, you're spending way too much time on these things. Whatever it is you're spending too much time on, you're going to have to say no a little bit to that to say yes to a fitness routine. This happens day in and day out at Strength Warehouse. These people will come to us and they sit down in front of me in the No Sweat intro and they say, hey, I need to make a life change. And I'm like, I can help you. And we get them signed up, we start with them, and then they call me a month, 2 months, 3 months later, and you're like, you know what? I've got no time to work out. And I go, hey, so-and-so, I understand you. we're all busy. Guess what? I'm a business owner. I've got 2 kids. I've got a family. I've got other endeavors I'm involved in. I've got social lives. I've got my own fitness. I'm a high level power lifter. I'm a referee. I've got so many things on my plate. What are you prioritizing? And most of the time they tell me it's not strength training. And I go, okay, that's fine. What are your goals? In Bend, Oregon, endurance is a huge thing in our industry. Just had a conversation with a client, which is an ex-client now, and she came to us and she said, "Hey, I've been doing the endurance thing, and I'm finding myself not going where I want to go, and the goals are not getting there, and I'm injured all the time, and I really need strength training." We signed her up. She was gung-ho. She stopped coming month 2. And then she texted us and said, "Hey, I can't find any time to come to the gym." And I called her and I was like, "Hey, you know what? I understand. It's you have to prioritize these things." And she's like, "Okay." And she's like, "Yeah, I understand that." I was like, "Okay, well, are your goals the same? That when you came to me and talked to me, which are XYZ goals," which I had her no sweat intro paper in front of me. And she said, "Yeah, my goals haven't changed." And I was like, "Okay, well, your goals when you came to me, the only way to fix those goals are to strength train. So when you tell me these goals you have are still the same, what's your plan?" She's like, "Well, I'm just going to double down on my running and my rock climbing." You're going to double down on your rock climbing and your running. Okay, well, you just told me that you did that before and it didn't work, and strength training was the way to get out of that. And it took 2 months for her to revert back into her old ways. So really deciding what the goals are and knowing what the objective is so huge, and staying consistent and letting it work. 2 months is absolutely not enough time to find any goals. It's not. No results and no goals are going to be had in 2 months. I promise you that. You have to stick with it for a little bit longer than that. And I'm very, very sorry this client left the gym. I hope that she comes back. And maybe she will, but maybe she won't. Anyway, I can only help so many people. I wish to help every single person that comes through here. It's my goal, but there's such a roadblock in their mind that I cannot help them. But consistency also, one of the things, there's been a bunch of studies out there that says once you start being consistent, you will find some more motivation. And the guy who edits these podcasts, Mr. Todd Tolsis from imagingvoice.com, he is the reason why this podcast is so professionally edited. He has told me over and over and over again, and results create motivation, right? So how do you get results? You be consistent. How do you get more motivation? You see results. Can you see the delineation here? Consistency creates results. Results create motivation. That's how it works. First, you got to be consistent. Then you'll see results. Then you'll see motivation to come back to the gym. It's not the other way around. So stop thinking that you need motivation first. All right? So one thing that I started to do I started to notice with my wife, Megan, which is co-owner of Strength Warehouse, we started doing puzzles. And I started just like looking at all the puzzle pieces and looking at the puzzle pieces and looking at the puzzle and going back and forth and being like, and then Megan, she's just grabbing pieces and like kind of putting them together on things, and I'm like, she's put 15 pieces in the puzzle and I've only put 1. And I'm like, man, what's going on here? And she's like, well, you're sitting here looking out on the sidelines, like trying to find some motivation to find like a piece that fits in there and like all this stuff, and I'm just consistently taking pieces and putting them in different places and figuring out which ones fit. And she finishes a puzzle like 100 times faster than I do, right? So one of my newest endeavors is I'm just taking the puzzle pieces and I'm gonna find something that looks similar, right? I'm not like looking for the exact piece. I'm just looking, hey, that piece looks consistent with what I think it's going to go. I'm going to go over there. And so since I've adapted that, my puzzle making has gone like tenfold. Like I put in like 30 pieces in an hour versus the other time I was like putting in maybe 3 pieces an hour, right? So anyway, long story short, here's a few tips for you guys. So start small. In our gym, when we're doing the no sweat intro, which is the greatest way to start a gym, figuring out what's going on, having the gym understand you as a whole. That is ultimately the best way to start any gym. So if you're going to start a gym and the gym doesn't ask you what your goals are and what you've done in the past, and if you have any injuries, run away from that gym. Run away. Do not do a free class. Do not do just, hey, I'm going to sign you up today and not know anything about you. Find somebody who's going to ask you what the heck is going on in your life and why you're here and what you want to do. Dude, find that. I promise you, you're going to be 100 times better off with a gym that does that, even if it's not my gym. But start small. So a lot of people come into our gym and they're like, I want to do 5 days a week. I'm like, great. You haven't worked out for 3 years. I'm going to recommend you start at 2 days a week or 1 day a week, right? So start small, take small bites. Don't bite off too much that you can chew, because it's going to be too much and you're going to find it overwhelming and then you're going to stop, right? So start small. Don't bite off more than you can chew, and that's pretty much the biggest thing I can tell you. The other thing is, another tip is, what I do is I have a calendar, and I tell myself I'm going to go to the gym X amount of days, and I put that on my calendar, and then I cross off, or I put it in my calendar on my phone. I went to the gym these many days. And that's going to stack wins, and it's going to show you that you're consistent, and you're going to find that your brain's going to get a little hit of dopamine every single time you do that, and it's going to be awesome, and you're going to win. I promise you, if you do these two things, find a gym that's going to find your goals and give you consistency, and then do those couple things, you're going to be gold. You're going to be golden, all right? All right, guys, so this is all I got for you today. I'm going to leave you with the same thing I'm going to leave you with every single podcast this year, and that is, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is a courage to continue that counts, all right? And everything you want is on the other side of fear. So go out there and take some action and kick some butt. All right, guys, we'll talk to you on the next podcast. Thanks for joining us on this epic journey of strength. If you liked this episode, please leave us a review and share with a friend. To stay connected, hit that subscribe button. All right, until next time, go heavy or go home.